Welcome to Mesh.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Pierre, and I'm here with the Mesh Collective, and we are back for another IG Live interview series interview. And I am so excited to have our special guest here today with us. But before we get into who our special guest is today, first of all, how are you all doing? I'm doing well, enjoying this day. It's fall, but it felt a little bit warm. The sun was out, and I was doing my little walking and having a great time. So I hope that you all were able to enjoy just a little piece of today. I see people coming on in. It's good to see you. Hey, Janice. Now, if you are new to Mesh and this is your first time watching this IG Live interview, I want to talk a little bit about who I am and who Mesh is, and then we'll jump into who our special interview guest is today. So again, my name is Brian Pierre. I am an artist. I'm an educator. I live in Warsaw, Poland, and I love music. It is everything that I do. Hey, Hassan, how are you? Did I say that wrong? Right? Hasnananda. Sorry. Welcome. And I work at a music academy, and I love teaching. I love music. I'm an artist myself. I have music out. So if you want to go hear it, it's on all digital music platforms, Brian Pierre. And I am a co-host for the Mesh Collective IG Live interview series. Now, who is Mesh? We are a music entertainment social hub, and our passion is to bring creatives into community through our collective. And the way that we do that is, first of all, we have a networking platform that is to be introduced to the public, where you can contact other artists, other creatives, anybody that's involved in the artistic world, whether it's in front of the camera, on the stage, behind the camera, behind the stage, lighting, engineering, producing, vocal coaching, singing, acting, dancing, whoever you are, makeup, engineering, whatever. This app, this network, this community is for you. And we also have a podcast series where you can go anywhere where you can listen to podcasts, find Mesh the podcast, and you can hear this interview and other interviews that we've done. You can go to our YouTube page, Mesh the podcast, and you can watch past interviews and other content that we've specially curated for you all. And our IG Live interview series, that we take other creatives and we just have conversations, meaningful conversations, so that we can provide wisdom and support for other creatives who are on their journey, who may be doing something similar or something different, but we all need to be uplifted and feel better about the journey we are on as we are doing the thing that we love to do. So today, we have a very, very special guest. Hello, Rainbow. Hello, Junior. We have a special guest. Her name is Alena Dobrovolnå. I keep trying to say it. See, I live in Poland, and she's from the Czech Republic. And so I'm always cautious about how to pronounce names from different countries that may sound similar to Poland. So when she joins into the live, we will go ahead and add her into the conversation, and we'll I see she's already here. So let me send her an invitation. Once she comes in, we'll do a nice introduction and we'll start our conversation. I see Jace, how are you? It's good to see you. Tell your friends that we're live, y'all. And so everybody can enjoy this interview. Hi, Alenka. How are you?
Oh, good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Do me a favor. Can you pull your camera down just a little bit so we can get your face into the camera just a little bit more?
Yes. Is this better? Kind of?
Yes, kind of. Yeah, lean forward. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Okay. I moved before.
Listen. Everybody, this is Alenka. This is someone who I've known. How long have we known each other?
Oh, good question. I don't know. Many years. 15 years maybe?
Yes. And we initially met, about 15, somewhere between 12 and 15. We initially met in the Czech Republic, in Prague.
Yes, that's
You
true.
were
That's true.
organizing a workshop, and
Hmm.
you invited me to be an instructor for that
I
workshop.
did. I did.
And we had a wonderful, wonderful time. And since then, we've been in contact and worked on different projects. And you have something very interesting coming up. And so we decided that this would be a great time to have this conversation in the
Yeah.
mesh arena where other creatives
Uh,
can hear some of the amazing things that you are doing.
Thanks for
Um,
inviting me.
yes. Now, in your tag, it says singer, it says voice teacher, it says organizer, and I want to hit all three of those things. But first, I want to start with you, like your journey with music and your passion with singing. Where did that start for you? And tell us
Hmm.
about your beginnings.
My beginnings. Oh, I always loved singing, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and which was something that our neighbors really hated because because I was able to go around the house and sing and do stuff. But then again, this was interesting because I have a disability that made it actually kind of difficult to sing to start
Mhm.
with. So I was you know, making a lot of noise, basically making a lot of singing noise. Um, but it was, let's say, it was a challenge to listen to in the beginning for
Mhm.
some people. Um, and uh, then I sort of realized that I really wanted to do something about the singing. And I tried to find a teacher, but nobody really wanted to teach a disabled student because
Mm.
there were many uh, people who were saying, well, you're not going to do it for a living anyway. How would
Yeah.
you perform in a musical with a disability like this, which is a neurological disorder called cerebral palsy,
Mhm.
which is something that you get if your birth is difficult and you're deprived of oxygen, then
Mhm.
some of your brain cells more or less die, and it means that your movement is affected, and sometimes, you know, there might be other things that are affected. So my voice was affected as well.
Mm.
um, and so I was trying to find a teacher, and nobody wanted to teach me. Then I found that I eventually did find a teacher, and we suffered together for some time. And then that's an interesting story because I don't know. I was, you know, I'm a Christian, and I went to um Denmark,
Mhm.
and I felt as if I should be singing there, which was really, really, really weird, you know.
Mhm.
And um, I went out for a walk at the outskirts of Copenhagen, and suddenly there comes this lady and says, "Excuse me, are you a Dane?" And I said, "No, I'm not a Dane." And then she says, "It must be you. You will be singing in our church this Sunday." And I was like, okay.
And this, she's never met you. She never heard you
No,
sing or
no,
anything.
no, no,
Okay.
no. So I was like, okay, and you know, and but I decided to go
Hmm.
because, you know, I just thought, well, there might be something. God might want me to do something there. So I went and I sang a song, and
Hmm.
it was my usual standard, you know,
Okay.
was it nicely. So, but I felt really brave, and so I said, maybe I could sing some more. And the pastor said, well, maybe you could share a testimony, which says something about the quality of the production, you know. And and I was like, God, you're making fun of me, you know, um, here. And suddenly I lost the voice completely.
Mm.
no voice whatsoever. And I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to be, you know, I just wanted to express what I wanted. And so I prayed and I said, God, I didn't mean, I just didn't know what you meant with this. And suddenly it was as if somebody untied a knot in my throat. And I started to speak in a perfectly normal voice with no disability whatsoever.
Oh, so you could hear that you had a disability in speaking
Yeah,
at
yeah,
this moment.
yeah.
Whoa.
And that disappeared at that very moment.
In
Yeah.
on stage or in the
Yeah, well,
church?
after
Oh,
that,
okay.
after that, just after that. But the funny thing was, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, there's something weird happening about my voice. Maybe I'm losing it totally, because it was very unusual. It was a very, very unusual feeling in the throat. Suddenly, which was suddenly working normally. And so I sort of, tried to call my singing teacher in the Czech Republic and said, there's something weird happening to my voice. And she was like, oh, you sound normal, finally.
Okay. Thank you
And
for
I was
that
like,
compliment.
and I was like, oh my goodness, there's something going on that's really, really weird and strange, and I don't know what's going to happen next. It was kind of, we hear about healings and we hear about things happening or God doing things, but when it finally happens to us, it's oh, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So the first thing that I did was I thought, okay, now it depends on how much I believe,
Okay.
and whether I believe enough to keep that healing. Heard about you? I think you've heard about this idea. And I decided that my faith was definitely going to be too small for me to keep it. So I decided not to do anything with the voice whatsoever, because I'm going to lose it anyway.
Okay.
And when I lose it, when I finally lose it, I will be sorry. So no, I'm just going to wait till it goes.
And
so I
do
waited.
nothing at all, like no singing lessons,
I didn't do anything,
Okay.
and I was just waiting, and I was just asking people if it's going away. And then I even started going to doctors to tell me that it's going away. So my faith, was literally non-existent in a way. If you
You
know what
assume the worst.
it was very small by all means. And then finally, I once came to a voice doctor and said, I have a problem with the voice. And she said, what's the problem? And I said, well, it's, I don't know what's going on with it. And she was like, could you sing something for me? I was like, yeah, maybe. And I started to do some scales. And she was like, oh, what a beautiful voice. And she started actually singing together with me.
Okay.
And then she said, do you really think you have a problem? And I was like, actually, I don't think so. And she tells me, okay, come back when you really need some doctor's care. Otherwise, there's no place for you here. Go away and sing.
And when you were singing, could you feel a difference from
Yes,
before and after?
yes.
Can you describe that?
Yes, sure. Because I basically didn't have any chest voice. I only had the high range, and then I had like a very nasal version of the voice. It's like if you think about those disabled people who speak like this, and maybe they are a bit sound a bit strangled like that, So that was the way I was speaking and singing. I could stay in pitch and everything that, but it just wasn't really pleasant.
Mhm.
And so anyway, so I had this new voice, and I absolutely didn't know what to do with it.
Mhm.
Of course, because how do you actually take the healing
Mhm.
when it happens? Is a question that's rarely spoken about.
Okay.
And so after a year or so, I decided it was time to start working with the voice. But then I had another theological issue, because I was like, okay, God gave the voice to me, so I've got to be really perfect.
Aha. Okay.
You know?
Okay. I understand. So it was unlocked, but it was still untamed.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah. I've got the gift, I've got the voice, but I cannot perform with it. I cannot do much with it, because if I am to show it in public, it needs to be perfect.
Mhm.
So that was another trick, you know. And then I sort of joined some Christian music group, and was fighting with lots of fear and stuff like that. And then I finally was at the edge of more or less giving up, and I decided to go to Denmark and become a scientist and study the Danish vowels,
Okay.
which is a highly practical subject.
From the Czech Republic to
Yeah. For the Czech Republic, it's really very useful, and you can practice that every single day, you know. And I wanted to measure how long they are, and you know, the different formants and things that are in the vowels. And I
Mhm.
basically wanted to close myself in a lab, and I went to Denmark to do that. But then I started to miss singing. And so a friend of mine asked me to find a gospel choir in Denmark, because he heard
Mhm.
that there were many in Denmark. So he said, could you just go there and maybe, you know, learn how they are doing things, that they so that they sound so black.
Okay.
And because he was kind of obsessed with the black sound. And
Okay.
so I did go and found a gospel choir, which was rehearsing in Aarhus, and was called Going Up Gospel Choir.
Mhm.
And it was led by Hans Christian Joachimsen.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
and
was
I
the
go,
first choir you went to see?
yeah, yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah. And so I was singing with them for like the
Oh,
time.
side note, let me say this.
Yeah.
For you all that don't know, Hans Christian really has contributed tremendously to gospel music being in Europe, and gospel choirs and gospel workshops and things like that. And people have come to his choir, been inspired, started workshops and things like that. And it's spread all around. So that's some
Yeah.
background knowledge.
He was 30 back then.
Okay.
Uh,
Wow.
um, and I was singing in his choir, and I was really scared to join, because I was like, maybe they will just judge my movement or judge my, you know, appearance, whatever. But he just
Oh,
said,
because physically you could still see
yeah,
that you had a disability.
yeah,
Okay.
of course. The
But you
voice is
couldn't hear it
okay.
in your voice. Mhm.
Well, the voice is okay, but the body is still, we're still waiting for the healing.
Got it. Mhm.
And um, so I was like, maybe they will not want me. And he was like, don't worry about that. Just come as you are and sing. Of course, it
Mhm.
was a mass choir. It was like 300 people singing together, so nobody really cared about me being disabled there, you know.
And this was a
Anyway,
specific gospel choir.
yeah.
Mhm.
It was it was basically one of the big choirs that he was leading at that time. He had like two groups singing together. Each of them was like 150 singers.
Okay.
So the people were kind of coming there and singing for during the season. So nobody really cared about the handicap, which was really great because it was a big difference from what I know from the Eastern Europe, from the Czech Republic, where people still kind of well, now it's much better, but during the communist era, the people with disabilities were kind of kept away from public life or from the society. So there was a lot of like, who are you, and why are you so strange?
And
So
shame and disregard.
yeah. It's very much. It was a lot of isolation because during the communist era, the communists were trying to pretend that they were perfect, and so those who were not perfect were hidden away or were kind of sent to institutions. So the society was kind of disability free. There would be pressure for parents of disabled children to send their children to these institutions or to special schools so that they would be not so visible, more or less. So this resulted in you with a disability being actually very, very visible because everybody noticed. When you walk the street, when you were somewhere, you were probably the only person with a visible disability. Like I was lucky, I went to a normal school, not to an institution, and there were like, I don't know, 500 children maybe in the school, and I was the only person with a disability.
Oh, wow.
So so that was really
That is
isolating.
okay.
So that's something that you
But when
carry
you were in
with
the
you.
choir, you didn't feel that sense of being noticed
No,
or
not in Denmark, not in
okay.
Denmark, because that's this. But you still have it in you,
Yes.
because you still know that people are watching, and watch out for people watching.
Okay. Yes.
If you know what I mean.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Notice people noticing you.
so I think, in a way, and I don't know if I can say this, but in a way, it may be similar to some of the Black experience.
Well, I could, as a foreigner
Um,
living in a foreign country, when you
yeah,
can't help but to be noticed,
yeah,
and it's impossible to blend in.
mm,
I can understand.
yeah, yeah,
Even when you want to blend in, it's just
yeah, yeah. It was kind of crazy. So in this choir, there was nobody who really cared about the disability, which is great, and I realized that God didn't want me to be happy at all times. That I was allowed to cry, and I was allowed to express sadness, and basically be who I am instead of just putting happy masks on me.
yes.
And because it was like, I love you, not your masks. And that was important because I was like, okay, but we don't have any gospel choir in the Czech Republic. How am I going to come back and have no gospel?
Yeah.
Ooh, no way. So I decided that I would invite Hans Christian Joachimsen to do a workshop in Pilsen in the Czech Republic. And at that point, I believed that this would be a single event,
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go to my Danish vowels
Okay.
and measure them and and go back to the lab. Well,
Okay, wait. I want to make just one quick
yeah,
clarification for me. So
sure.
you were in the gospel choir,
Uh-huh.
and somebody told you that you should start a gospel choir in the Czech Republic.
No. I
No?
just felt that I need to do it
Okay, okay.
because
So it was your desire.
there was no gospel choir at that point in the Czech Republic. There was
Okay.
nobody doing gospel music here. It was really brass bands and maybe some rock music, but
Mm-hmm.
not gospel, nothing.
Okay.
So I was like, I really need this.
But more specifically, you went from singing in the choir to going
Mm.
back to the Czech Republic to organize
Yes,
the
because
first ever
yeah,
gospel workshop.
yeah. Because there was
Wow.
nobody else. And of course, in the beginning, the people were, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. You're too disabled.
Wow.
But I knew that if I didn't do it, nobody else would.
Listen, say that one more time. If
If
you
I
ain't,
didn't do it, nobody else would.
and that's
So
wisdom right there.
so I said no, I'm going to do it.
Hmm.
And I started organizing the first ever. And it was really funny because it was first ever for me.
Hmm.
I didn't have any experience with organizing these things whatsoever.
Wow.
I didn't really have any money.
Hmm.
And I remember that at one point I opened an account in a bank, and um, I said, "What's the least amount I need to open an account in your bank?" And they said something like, "Well, 500 crowns, which is approximately, I think, $20, something like that."
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And so I said, "Yeah, I have that. So can you open the account for my gospel work?" And they were like, "Yes, but what are you going to do with the account?" "Oh, people are going to send money to that account." And the man in the bank was like, "Okay." If you think
Because it has to be legit.
yeah, sure. And so that was the first step. It was very funny, and then I started slowly inviting people to that workshop, and nobody really knew what gospel music was
Hmm.
here back then. Um, so I had to explain a lot, and I was
Hmm.
advertising in churches primarily, because I was like, okay, maybe the Christian folks will be more interested in coming. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think that half of the people that were at the first workshop um, were there because they wanted to see what will happen.
Yes. Yes. The curiosity
Yeah.
of gospel in Europe.
if if and I remember that I had very, the fee was really cheap. It was something like 200 crowns or 170. I don't know
Oh,
why
wow.
170. And I paid the rest out of some insurance that I had from my grandparents. Um,
Wow.
because that was the only way to get the people and to make them come,
Yeah.
actually. So I did, and that was the first workshop, which actually took 4 days because the people were scared.
Hmm.
Some of the leaders were scared. They thought that it wouldn't be possible to learn 10 songs in just a weekend, so we had to have it from Thursday night.
Hmm.
Um, and well, anyway, I thought this would be like single event, but
Hmm.
when this workshop was over, um, you know, people would come and say, "Why? When can we come to the next one?"
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, maybe I should start thinking about the organizing of the next one.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for 20 years now.
And can you count, or do you know exactly how many workshops you've organized so far?
It's hard, but there was at least one each of these years. Actually,
Wow.
it was like, yeah, at least one. In I think in 12 years it was at least two,
Mm.
and in some years there were even three.
Mhm.
But just, I've lost count. I don't count. I just do things.
Well, let me say this. I want to thank you for following your heart, even with the resources that seemed limited at the time, or were limited at the
They
time,
were limited.
extremely limited. But you persevered anyway. And despite people counting you out and assuming that, oh, she's not going to do anything, you did it
I did
and
it.
continued to do it. And because of that, you've been able to provide opportunities for me directly
Sure.
and indirectly. And so I just want to thank you,
You're
because
welcome.
your consistency and your willingness to step out and to be brave created a path for me to do what I love to do. And that's
Brilliant.
why we can't do this without each other. So I want to thank
Yeah.
you
You're welcome. You're
from the bottom
welcome.
of my heart for
You're
giving me the
welcome.
opportunity to do what I love to do. We in this together.
We are. We are indeed.
Yeah. Okay. So now listen, you and I can go back and forth for
Yeah.
long periods of time,
Sure.
but I definitely don't want to miss the opportunity to talk about smart gospel. So
Sure.
we talked about you being a singer and your introduction into unlocking your voice, your healing, and then taking that and transitioning to that into creating and starting workshops. What is smart gospel?
Smart Gospel is a very smart project. It's because some 10 years ago, I was reading a blog online, a web diary of a lady who had a daughter with spinal muscular atrophy, which is a rare genetic disorder. And it means that the people who have this basically lose the strength in their muscles and generally have shorter lives, to put it shortly. And then that daughter died. And I read about it in the blog, and it kind of, it touched me somehow. And I was thinking, what can I do to help this lady? And so I wrote to her and invited her to one of the gospel concerts that I was organizing at the time. And she came. It was quite soon after the death of the daughter. And then she was really touched by the music. And then we just decided that we would go out for a coffee. And we did. And so I said, well, maybe we could do something to increase the awareness about the diagnosis and to raise some money for these children, because she she organizes a summer camp for these kids where they can be without their parents, and she can and they can train how to communicate with assistants, and the parents can get some time off and so on. So I invited the different gospel choirs in 4 different Czech cities to organize a concert, each at the same time, at the same on the same day, and to raise money and awareness about the diagnosis. And this year we have been doing it for 10 years. And
Wow,
this
I
year,
didn't know that it was 10
yeah,
years.
10-year
Wow,
anniversary.
okay.
So,
Congratulations.
thank you. It's so brilliant, that we've been doing it for such a long time. And this year, when I was organizing another gospel workshop, I had a guest at the workshop, like one of the participants from the Academy of Performing Arts in Prague. And I said, well, it would be really great if we could sing together in between the cities, but it's difficult with all the delay that you've got over the internet. We know that. And he tells me, well, you know, I can tell you something. We've got technology that can make it possible without the delay.
To be able for the choirs to sing
so that
simultaneously
the choirs can
together,
actually sing together
from
the different cities. Yes.
All right.
So let's make that a project. Because this has been tested, I think, on organ players or on some smaller, violin players or small groups of musicians, but never with a choir. So I said, yes, you may borrow our gospel choirs to experiment. and so we are going actually to connect the concert in Pilsen and in Prague. Yeah. And the choirs will be able to sing 3 songs together. We could do more, but maybe next year,
Okay.
Because this year we started organizing this in May, so it's not it was very quick in a way, and it was very little time to prepare a proper full concert that would be connected.
But knowing you, it will happen. A full concert at some point, because I know this is not going to be the end.
Yeah, well, maybe somebody else from Europe will want to join in. Not looking at anybody specifically.
Nobody specifically.
Yeah, nobody's mentioned, but if you were interested, get in touch. No, because it's so we are going to sing 3 songs together, mix the sound of the 2 choirs, and send that sound over to Ostrava, which is a 3rd place, where the Australian choir will also join. We will not hear the people from Ostrava, but they will be able to hear us and join in with us.
Okay, that's so cool.
So that's really cool. So they will have the biggest choir ever there.
That is incredible.
They will have a mixture of Prague, Pilsen, and them. We are going to stream the concerts on YouTube, both the Prague concert and the Pilsen concert and the joint part. So if anybody is interested in watching, I think I can provide you with some links to watch that.
Absolutely.
Be with us.
I think that is. Listen, I think this idea and this concept is super amazing, because during the pandemic, as a teacher of group classes and performance classes, it was really hard to try to figure out how to continue to teach and give the students an opportunity to perform. And the technology was the biggest problem because of the lag of the audio and video. But this new technology is so cool.
It is cool, because normally in the Skype or Zoom, you've got like a delay of 150 milliseconds, and here it's like I think 2 or 3 milliseconds from the translation itself, and then 1 millisecond per each 100 kilometers.
Whoa!
So it's like so you can get within in the Czech Republic or around, you can get a delay of like 5 milliseconds. So it's really nothing.
That's nothing.
So it's possible, and this technology was developed by a Czech company called Cessnet, which is basically a company that supports the usage of internet at the Czech universities. And I think they will be more than happy to experiment more with that technology.
Of course.
I think we can provide them with a lot of willing participants.
For sure. Now, is this the first concert that they're doing with this technology with you?
With the choirs.
With the choirs,
with the choirs, yes. They were doing things like, you know, two organists playing the organ in two different churches together, which was also historically unique because this is clearly impossible in the past. They were doing, I think, something like a chamber orchestra or something like that. But it has never been used with choirs, so we are going to be the first ones to do this in the whole wide world.
Okay.
Yeah. So watch and be with us, support.
Yes, please. So you guys go ahead and follow Alenka Dobro, Alenka.Dobro. And it's Brian Pierre, because we'll both share the links, the YouTube links for everybody to watch online from where you are, and hear both choirs, soloists, musicians singing all together. That is amazing. Okay, so I have a technical question.
Okay.
So for the choirs that are on stage from the different places, like there's going to be a conductor in one city conducting one choir, and the other choir from the other city is going to be able to see the conductor and hear.
Yes.
In real time.
In real time, yes.
And with the choir that's singing, for example, in Pilsen, and the conductor's there, would they be able to hear the other choir where they are?
Yes. But not so much in the monitors, because that would be difficult. But it will be done in such a way that there will be always one conductor leading the song from one city, where the other city will be following.
And they'll hear the music and see the conductor.
Yes. They will hear the music, and they will be able.
Wait a minute. I think I lost sound. Oh, okay, I got you back. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you got me. So the sound of the two choirs will be mixed and sent to the stream, and sent to a mixture will be sent to the different places.
And so, will there be soloists that sing with the choirs? And
that
stuff?
would be. You should know. Because you will be one of the soloists. Actually.
I'm one of the soloists. Boop, 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 boop. Surprise. Oh, I think we have a connection issue. Yes. Okay. While we wait for Alenka to come back, I am one of the soloists that will be in the concert, so that was kind of the reason why I wanted to bring Alenka on to talk about this amazing technology. It's the first time I've ever heard of it, and I think it's super cool. Okay. I think Alenka had a connection issue. Okay, there you go.
I'm coming.
Okay, good. Yes. So first of all, thank you for inviting me to be a part of the project. I think this is historical. It's amazing.
It is.
I'm glad to have it on my CV, and to be able to have another opportunity for us to, do music together and create a beautiful experience for people all over the country of the Czech Republic.
Yeah, it will be brilliant. It will be brilliant, and please join us from the stage and sing with us.
Yes. This is going to be amazing. I'm super excited. Super excited. Now, I have a question for you in regards to your voice teaching journey.
Yeah.
Because you went how long was it from the time you started organizing workshops to where you worked on your voice and got the courage to then start to teach other people a voice?
I think it took some I don't know, 6-7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was always a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so it was natural to start, you know, giving what I was learning to other people. And but I started to get my still qualification some 4 years ago. I started, and I'm in the process now. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm an Estelle Master Trainer candidate now, which means that I've got the
Wow.
theoretical parts behind me, and now it's you know, doing the practical teaching and being observed
Mm-hmm.
by people more qualified than me. Um,
And that's
that
some
is done
serious
properly.
training. It takes a lot
Mhm.
to be an Estill master teacher, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. It's a long process. Basically, you first need to learn all the exercises that they are using and all technicalities, and then you get the first certification that says the word, okay, she can do the Estelian exercises somehow, or not somehow, but on some tone.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you want to become a master trainer, so really to teach the people, not just to inform them about what Estelle is,
Mm-hmm.
then you have to really learn a lot of anatomy and acoustics and stuff like that.
Okay.
There's a lot of theoretical background that you've got to have, and you have to take a more complicated practical exam where you have to perform the exercises on two notes, an octave apart, which is easy in some ways, but also complicated in
Mm-hmm.
very many others. So, because for example, some things are easy to do, some things are easy to do when you're in your low range, and some things are easier to do when you're in your high range, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have to learn how to do it in both uh, both ranges, or both all over the voice, then it takes a lot of practicing, but
Yes.
it gives a lot of versatility. I like it. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on how far you've made it inside of that program. When students come to you, d- what do they expect to experience in your class as a voice teacher?
Hmm. Well, I frequently teach people who have difficulties, because I have a heart for people with difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I've gone from afar myself as well. Um, so I work with people who may not have so much courage, or
Mm-hmm.
uh, but generally I try to identify the problem that they have, and I do not force my own ideas on how they should sound or how they should work.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, because I want them to take that part of the responsibility. Like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to sound like. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I want to be. This is where I want to be. And my responsibility as a teacher is to get them there safely.
Okay.
So, um, so I always ask them, okay, what are we doing? What is it that you want to do? And I work from there.
Okay.
So if I have somebody who wants to work on, I don't know, specific genres, then we look at that. Or so it's very client oriented. It's not.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
And so now, at this moment, all three of those things you're doing simultaneously:
Mm.
singing, voice teaching,
Yeah.
organizing regularly. That's amazing. Now, I do want to talk to you really quickly about going back to the workshops because,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Sure.
the work that I do when I come to the Czech Republic is always with the majority of the time with different choirs.
Yes.
And were those choirs existing when you started your workshops?
No, no, no. There was no gospel choir when we did the first workshop. There were people at the workshop who then, as a result of the first workshop, started their own gospel choirs. The choir in Pilsen that I sing with started as a church choir, so they were basically singing at Catholic masses, you know, worship songs and things like that, but nothing really wild. And then at some point they tried to sing "Oh Happy Day," I guess, and then the conductor of this choir and two of his friends who were also singing in the choir came to that workshop, and then life changed for that choir because gradually gospel music was the main portion, or became the main portion of the choir's repertoire, and now we only sing gospel music.
Okay.
And then there was a similar story of a choir in Brno. Again, this was a lady who came to the first workshop 20 years ago and decided that she wanted to start a gospel choir. And so she did. She's been doing it for 20 years. So that's the first two gospel choirs. And then the other choirs joined later as I moved the workshop first from Prague to Brno, and then from Pilsen to Brno, and then to Prague. And when I was doing workshops when I did the workshops in Prague, then some years after that, you know, Maranatha Gospel Choir and Gospel Limited joined in and started their work. And there were other choirs that started. Basically, most of them started as a result of these workshops that we were doing in some ways.
So you just following your heart
Yeah,
and doing what
what I like.
you like has opened the door for people to now who have had their choirs for 20 years
Yeah.
operate in their passions and everything. So then my question to you is what part does community play into like your workshops and smart gospel, because you still involve all of these choirs and places where you've done these workshops, so these people are still around you and
Yeah.
operating regularly.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to remember that we are not alone in things. We really need to of course, we can operate on our own, and sometimes the tendency will be like, yeah, we'll do a workshop for our choir only or something like that. But that, to me, is really limited or limiting. Because if you want to do some bigger projects or things that basically are larger in scale, then it's easier to source from more places, and I think that we all have some things that we can give to the others, and each of the choirs have got some flavor of theirs, and it's not about being uniform, but it's about being open for the others, I guess. Like, you know, when we did Smart Gospel, I don't mess up with the concerts in the other cities. The choirs themselves are responsible for how they want their things done, but we share, you know, the promotion, and we share things like, you know, the idea, and we keep in touch during the evening, and things like that. And I think it's important to know that we can remain ourselves, but when we want to do something together, we've got to understand that we are not supposed to be only for ourselves. If you know what I mean.
Yes. But for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, you continue to demonstrate that by creating these opportunities for choirs to perform, for people to get in touch with gospel music if they've never had an opportunity to, for people who love gospel music and want to participate in it every year but can't commit to a choir. They come to your workshops. So by you being consistent and creating all of these opportunities, you're really creating a culture of community in the country and beyond, because I'm a part of that community too.
Yeah,
and I live in Poland.
Sure.
So listen, I really appreciate again everything that you've done, and you're inspiring. I literally had a conversation today about, starting new projects for myself. And there's always that fear.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a failure, but sometimes you're the only one sometimes who
Yeah.
really understands that vision. And you have to press forward even if people can't see what you're trying to do. And just hearing that you stepped out and stayed true to it, your commitment to yourself and to your vision. And years later, it has birthed so many other projects and so many other things. And it's really inspiring. And
I think sometimes we don't see the big things in the small beginnings, because if you told me 20 years ago that I would be leading a community of I don't know how many gospel choirs in the Czech Republic, I would have said, me? No way. And sometimes it's just taking it in small steps, but take the next step and then the next one and then the next one, and don't worry about I need to reach the whole world, because if you are where you should be, it will grow.
And you're about to send a link for a concert that spans the whole country that's about to reach the world. But you took your time and you took step by step by step. So, and that's encouraging. Thank you, Alenka. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time tonight and sharing your wisdom, sharing your story. I'm sure everyone who's come in and watched, and those of you who will watch this later, have received some wisdom and some encouragement through this conversation that we had this evening. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and like the channel, this page, MESHCLCTV. You can like our page, Mesh the Podcast on Instagram. YouTube, the same. Any podcast, a place where you can listen to podcasts, listen to Mesh the Podcast. My name is Brian Pierre. On Instagram, it's Brian Pierre. You can follow me. You can also follow my friend, Alenka Dobro, and Alenka.Dobro, just to make sure you find her. And then we will post the link for the YouTube link for the concert that will happen next Saturday.
Next Saturday, yeah.
At what time?
Well, it will go live just shortly before 6 p.m. of Prague time, which I don't know.
Prague time, so 6 p.m. Prague time, then it would be 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern, yeah.
For everybody that's in the States.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you once again, Alenka. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, for sharing your time with us, and we hope that you all are encouraged and you keep following your heart and following your dreams. Make sure you stay connected to Mesh as we connect you to community that will help you and inspire you to be your best self and do everything that you want to do in this life. Thank you so much, Alenka, and I will see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye, everybody. Have a great evening.
Welcome to Mesh.